Hey guys, so this, is part 3 to What If Callum Was Kryptonian. Now guys, this is a very long waited what if. I think I made this, the last part of this like 2 months ago, or like a month ago, or a couple weeks. Not more than 3 months, I think. But yeah, so guys, I hope you guys enjoyed last time, and let's make this one better than the last one. So guys, before we go on, I'm not gonna make this long or anything. The next video I'm gonna be uploading, since today I got the day off and I have a lot of hours, to myself after I do all my stuff or my work or whatever. Basically, I already uploaded or started to record what if what if Shazam was an Invincible part 5 or 4. Now that video is an hour long, so it's gonna take a long time to upload. So by the time this video comes out, it's probably gonna be up, since I already had that video loading as we're speaking or as I'm narrating. So let's get into the video, guys. So we started our story off last time. We left off doing episode part 3. Now pretty much. So guys, we start our story off with episode episode 7, the Dragger of the Wolf, the Danger of the Wolf. I don't know. Basically, you get switched to pretty much Rayla, Israel, and Callum showing up to an old town after the whole entire events of them finding the Fortress of Solitude. Basically, they get to the town pretty much trying to find some food, or whatever, or try to find a doctor for the egg. And pretty much Callum says you can't just go in there. You have your 3 fingers, and also you have horns. Basically, she says, I have a perfect disguise. Her putting on a cloak, hiding her horns, but still, the whole entire finger problem. Pretty much her saying, I have a solution for that. Basically, using gloves off of a snowman nearby. Basically, her calling it a snow elf, though. But basically, her putting the gloves on, and her kind of looking like a normal human, kind of. The whole entire, purple eyes. The whole entire pink eyes and everything, and like the tattoos on her face or underneath her eyes doesn't really, make her look human enough, but whatever. Now, they're walking around when they come across pretty much a stunt performer, basically, with some sort of, knife or whatever. Him challenging anybody, I'll give you, a very hefty price if you can beat me with me fighting you with just my dagger. Now, basically, he challenges anybody in the crowd. You, sir. Basically, the sir about to go in, but his wife or somebody pulls him out of the way, telling him not to do it. Now, basically, he points to maybe you. Pretty much, instead of pointing to Rayla, points to Callum. And basically, Callum is told, Callum is not really scared of anything, because, at this point, Callum was never really hurt, since he had immobility, or he was getting it. And basically, he walked up saying, I got this. Basically, when the man takes out his dagger, basically Rayla says, don't do this. He might be able to, pretty much Callum saying, no one can hurt me. I'll be right back. Basically, they start, and pretty much Callum says, well, I'll be able to beat you with nothing but my hands. Basically, pretty much the fight starting there. Now, basically, we see Callum, charge at the man. The man says, you're a stupid kid. Basically, him taking out his dagger, about to just hit Callum upside the head with the end of the dagger, but Callum grabbing the dagger out of the man's hand and kicking him down to the ground 6 feet away with minimal effort. Callum not really trying to use his full strength. Callum throwing the knife back at the man dodging it, but also grabbing the hilt of the knife before he could fall down to the ground, and him cutting and slashing towards Callum. Callum says that the man is cutting swiftly and acrobatically and very very coordinated, basically swifting left and right, slashing and thrashing over and over. Callum eventually dodges more and more attacks and cuts, but he eventually grabs the blade from the man, full on, just his whole bare hands, grabbing it out of the man's hand, pretty much saying, is that all you got? Now, people look at him like he's, some sort of freak, since he just grabbed the blade without anything. And Callum fakes that, he cut his hand, saying, basically him saying, I forfeit, basically him running away. Now, basically, he runs towards Rayla, saying, let's go. Basically, him taking off his gloves, saying that it's not that or a cut, but it's kind of bruised or kind of, messed up. Now, basically, if you don't know about the whole entire glove situation, just watch part two. And basically, Callum puts on his gloves and pretty much, says, let's do what we were looking. Go on what we were looking for originally. And basically, everybody is very shocked at how fast, Callum was taking down the man. But the man actually comes to Callum saying, "What are you? How did you do that? How did you grab a whole forge blade?" Now, pretty much Rayla, explains, whispering in Callum's ear what a forge blade is or what a fire elf blade is. Basically, a dagger, pretty much that stays as hot as it was when it was forged. Basically, being able to cut through any type of, blade or anything. Basically, Rayla having a smirk on her face saying to take it, saying that I might be able to cut my thing with it. Now, instead of Rayla just going on a whole entire thing to take the knife from the man, she actually just tells Callum to get it. Now, Callum walks over to the man saying, "Can I borrow it real quick?" The man trusts Callum since he is like a human, or like he is pretty noble. And basically, Callum grabs it and turns over to Rayla, taking her hand, and the man thinking that, Callum's gonna cut off the woman's hand, saying, "Don't do that." Basically, Callum saying back up, basically putting the knife underneath Rayla's wrist thing, or bind, basically trying to cut it, but seeing that it's not working. Rayla saying stop, and pretty much seeing that she burned her hand, but also at the same time, the bind isn't breaking. Now, Callum gives the knife back to the man. Callum saying, "I could have cut harder." Basically, her saying, "If you cut harder, it would have burned my skin more." It's okay, right? It's okay, Callum. Basically, them moving on. Now, they try to look for, a solution for the egg, and they come across the same thing that they did in canon. The miracle worker. The miracle healer. Now, basically, we get seen pretty much, Callum, Rayla, and Israel at pretty much, what was it? We see Callum, Israel, and Rayla pretty much what was it? I think oh, what was it again? The animal doctor. Basically, they ask the same question. He gives them the same information about the miracle worker upside the mountain, and the mountain as in the pretty much the what was it? As in the haunted mountain. Then basically we see pretty much the same girl, the wolf girl, saying pretty much the man telling the story about the girl and the wolf or her dog, basically saying that her dog was saved by a miracle worker. Basically them saying this is awesome. And I'm saying this is gonna be very good. And basically as they're, as they're doing all this, basically they go and pretty much realize that the miracle worker may be able to get the band off my arm. Basically them having the idea to go. And basically at this point, since Callum's, more shown heroics and also very smirky yet very confident attitude, Miranda does find a liking to Callum even more or even faster than original. Now it gets switched to basically episode 8, and guys, I will be skipping past episode 8 and 9 since those episodes aren't that good, to be honest. It's mainly just a bunch of, pretty much just a bunch of cat and dog chasing and running away from animals and monsters. So it's not actually really action packed or whatever. And basically we switch to when they get to the mountain and they go there alongside the girl with the wolf. Now basically we see their journey start. Basically them going to pretty much the mountain area. Pretty much as they're going there, they take the girl with them. Basically, us getting shown them going towards the mountain. They go time and time again, and eventually they come across some type of obstacle, more or less, and they come across pretty much, where the mountain should be. They camp for a little bit, but then they go on to their mission. And before we see any more than that, we get switched back to the castle, Or we see, well, the evil mage basically torturing or trying to feed the elf, that he captured, or the elf that was, started the bindings or whatever. Now, basically, before we do that, or before it happens, basically, what would happen at that point is that, well, what was it? What would happen at that point? The elf prisoner wouldn't eat or take anything from the man. Basically, him trying to starve himself to death, or I don't know what is. Basically, they go farther into the forest in the mountain, basically saying, this is kind of weird. Not even the, not even the grasshoppers are chirping. And basically, they start, to laugh, and pretty much they go on to, well, go on to the forest. They come across some sort of dead animal, but they see that the animal has been sucked dry of blood. And then we get switched to, well, some sort of giant monster leech, pretty much going after everybody. We see that everybody's kind of blinded and disoriented because of bait, and they use bait wrong. But Callum isn't, since Callum used most of his, invulnerability, close his eyes to stop him from being blind. As they're running, Callum gets into a fine position, about to go head to head with the leech, but pretty much Rayla saying you can't expose yourself in front of the girl. Basically him saying, who cares? Basically him shooting a laser beam through the leech, killing it. Now basically they go on with their journey pretty quickly, and that obstacle is taken down very quickly. Now they go on to, the rest of their journey. Basically none of that whole time emotional stuff on the top of the, tree or anything happens between Rayla and Callum, and pretty much they take out the leech. They pretty much will salvage the leech, or pretty much Callum just gets rid of the leech's remains. And that's how we're gonna leave off episode. Well, that's how we're gonna leave off episode 8. Since episode 8 was mainly just about them trying to hide away from the leech and trying to fight the leech. So me eliminating the problem of Callum just using his laser vision to get rid of the leech removed the whole episode. So because I want to make this video longer, and I can't just end it off at like what? I can't just end it off at like 12 minutes. You guys would be mad at me. So basically, we pretty much continue our journey with basically episode 9, where we see basically after the recap from last episode, we basically see some sort of conversation dwell when we pretty much, Israel says that he understands animals, that he can talk to them. Basically, Callum saying, you can understand animals? Basically, Israel saying, I can understand animals, but you can shoot lasers out of your eyes, you can fly opposingly, and also you can punch through solid rocks, stones. You can do a bunch of stuff. Basically, Callum says that I can do a lot of things, but let's be real. You're human. Basically, Israel saying, how do you know I'm human? Basically, Callum says, whatever. Basically, they go on with the rest of the, thing. Basically, Callum actually believing Israel, since he, kind of believes the impossible, since technically he is scientifically being able to be doing all this, since he is, an alien. He isn't human, but still, he doesn't know if Israel is human or not human. He may be some different alien like him. So basically, he kind of believes Israel, and he just ignores what Israel just said, saying, yeah, I believe you. Basically, them going the rest of their journey. Now they walk down pretty much the mountain area, going farther and farther. Basically, Rayla saying, don't stop and don't get scared. Callum saying, how am I going to get scared? I'm invulnerable and I can never get hurt. Basically, they go on. Rayla does find some sort of spider cocoon type thing, but he doesn't tell anybody. Pretty much they go on to the rest of the, mission. Basically, Callum pretty much saying, what was it? Ava saying, let's, go back. Basically, pretty much them saying, well, you don't have to go back. Now, basically, Callum says, you're fine with me. Look at me. Basically, him turning on his, since he has a Kryptonian logo on his vest, and he doesn't have a jacket on, he just has the vest. He taps his vest twice, and he's given his suit like this. Originally, the Kryptonian chest, symbol was supposed to give him another suit, but I like the suit way more. So this is gonna be his number one suit. Now, as they're walking down the mountain, they come across one of the spiders, and basically Callum just lasers or pretty much just blasted the smithereens. Him being confused of where it went. Now he uses his super senses or his X-ray vision and super hearing to see that he can't sense where it is, that he can't feel or hear where it's stepping. That is confusing him. And how can a creature not give off sound or any type of signature of heat? Basically, we see that Callum and the rest of the spider goes after Callum and the rest of the group, but Callum starts shooting lasers at it over and over, assuming that the spider was, I don't even know, real or not. Now, basically, pretty much Callum starts shooting lasers after lasers, it dodging out of the way, but pretty much Israel stepping in and trying to talk to the spider. He talks to the spider, and Callum is very impressed at what just happened, and he believes Israel even more. Now they go up the mountain, and they were about to find the miracle worker, and they get to the tree, but they find that it's not here. Basically, him saying, "So where's the miracle healer?" Basically, her saying that she disappeared. And basically, a couple minutes later, a bright light appears, and we see a woman on some sort of glowing eagle-type animal fly down and reveal herself. Us being shown that it's not actually a miracle healer. Rayla saying she's not, saying that she's a moon elf illusionist. She makes illusions. She can't heal anybody. Pretty much the moon elf says, "No, I cannot, but I do help people." Her revealing that that Ava's paw or leg was all illusion, and that she never needed a leg. That people around her need to feel that she was normal. That she or like make her basically she says she can make an illusion that not even yourself or not even Rayla could understand or even feel. Making Rayla feel that she actually did have a right paw. And basically we get shown that pretty much what was it? We get shown that pretty much alright. Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. What was it again? We get shown basically Callum, or pretty much the moon elf, says that the egg is dying, and it pretty much the only way we can help it is if it if it if we hatch it now. But the only a storm dragon egg can be born during a storm, based in the middle of the heart of a storm. But the sky is clear as day or clear as night. Basically, Callum having an idea saying a storm, right? Basically, him taking out or basically him saying having used magic last time. Last time I did it on the fly. But basically, he throws the orb down to the ground, releasing all of the storm magic, basically making them in the heart of a storm, in the storm beginning. Basically, them having enough time to actually hatch the egg. And basically, the egg starts to hatch. Basically, it forming, and we see that the dragon is super cute, but we see that the dragon was it just pulled off Rayla's wristband, literally like a toy, saying pretty much showing, not really showing, not showing. It's just how it could do that, how it could take on a whole, pretty much a whole entire, straight up bind that not even a heat knife, not even Kryptonian laser vision, or not even Superman strength could open. Now basically, you would see pretty much Claudia and we see Claudia and pretty much her brother doing a spell to try to find Callum and Israel. Now pretty much they shoot the spell out, and we continue with episode we continue with episode 1 of season 2, and pretty much so on. We get switched to basically, well, the resort, or pretty much the main area, or the more or less more mystical and more beautiful area of the mountain where the moon elf lives. Basically, them trying to find a way to raise the, well, dragon. Now they eat a whole feast. As they're eating it, basically Callum actually, well, due to his X-ray vision, he is able to see slightly through the illusion. It's confused on why he kind of sees, grub, but also a cake at the same time. But basically, the woman explains, like, pretty much they ask, like, how could, you make all this in the forest? Basically, her saying, oh, it's all grub. The same thing her bird's eating. Basically, them saying, what you mean grub? Basically, Callum focuses most of all of his mind to see what is behind the cake illusion, seeing that it's some sort of snail. Basically, him saying that's disgusting, and him barfing it up and saying it's really good. Basically, him getting up from the table, and him walking away. But basically, see that Rayla, pretty much Rayla shows up, pretty much showing off how she can do all sorts of other stuff that she could with two hands now, since the binding is gone and her hands healed. Now, basically, they, try to make a plan to just take the dragon to, as to pretty much, the capital, or pretty much where the area was originally at. Basically, well, them try to get it to, I don't even know what they were taking him to originally. Didn't even write the name down. But basically, as we stretch through the episode, we see basically Callum get taken by the moon elf. The moon elf saying, I've seen people like you before. Now, she shows a flashback of the moon elves before her at the, the same area, them dancing and everything. But she also shows them about a certain thing that happened back then. A man, or what we thought was a man, thousands of years ago, black beard, black suit, and the same symbol that's on your chest, called himself Zod. And now this Zod would be the great 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 grandfather of the original Zod, and one of the very first Kryptonians to ever come on Earth. And basically, this Kryptonian came to Earth trying to find a new kingdom, or trying to find a new planet for Kryptonians to live. When he came to Earth, he started to discover more abilities on his body. He started to discover flight, but abilities, super strength, all sorts of other abilities. Him seeing that this is a perfect planet for Kryptonians, the yellow sun gave them power, made them gods, meaning that, well, Krypton would be the number one, well, species in the world if they moved to Earth. And he would try to make a pact to try to permanently move Kryptonians to Earth. So he would try to colonize the planet. But multiple witches would come together under a secret covenant to take down the Kryptonian. Then making magic, or even using their magic against the Kryptonian, basically, since magic is, vulnerable to Kryptonians, or Kryptonians are vulnerable to magic. Pretty much they easily fended off the Kryptonian pretty quickly in a matter of a week. Basically, the Kryptonian leaving, and before they left, one powerful magic user pretty much used a spell called Mind Erase, basically erasing the mind or the memories of planet Earth from the Kryptonian. Kryptonian going back to Krypton, not remember where he went, the memories of him, going, basically him forgetting the memories. Now we see pretty much Israel try to teach. We can switch back to the whole talk about Krypton and how one time they came here to rule the world, but now pretty much since you're here, you become a hero, and you're a very very big part of this, and that you can change the world, everything. You're special. Now basically, it gets shown basically Callum, and basically Callum's not actually behind the elf, since he doesn't really get tired, and also Kryptonians don't really sweat or get tired or anything like that. Him basically being right next to the moon elf, as the moon elf's explaining everything, got Kryptonians, and also about how you're special. With your Kryptonian anatomy and your abilities, magic comes easier to you. But if you want to learn how to use magic, you need to learn about the Nexus. And basically, she tells him about the Nexus, and this is the Moon Nexus where they're standing. basically saying it well is perfect. Now basically, pretty much Callum says this is beautiful. Now basically Callum says so you have to protect this? Now basically she says yes. Now basically she goes on about how you know, pretty much with your powers, your abilities, magic will come easier to you. A Kryptonian with the ability to wield magic will be someone as a true god. Kryptonians with their abilities, their powers, their skills, even alongside magic on their side, it would be, well, preposterous. One side can take away Kryptonian, the other can take away another by. Basically, she says that with using magic, it might weaken your Kryptonian abilities, but you'll still be able to use magic on the same level. You can, punch, kick, fly, or jump. Basically, Callum's saying, I don't know how to fly yet, and also I don't know how to do anything like that. Basically, her giving a kick to Callum, making some sort of gesture, but it just being an illusion. Pretty much Callum knowing that it's illusion. Now she starts talking to Callum more and more about everything, and eventually, Callum is told more about how his magic can be more powerful than ever, but it can also affect his Kryptonian anatomy even farther than it already is, since his powers are coming in very later in life. Now, basically, Callum, goes back to the area, basically saying it was a tough day today. Basically, him, saying that day really showed me something. Pretty much him saying, I know what I have to do. Basically, he starts walking around on the top of the cliff. Basically, him making a full on head start, jumping, and he starts to fly. Very well, faintly though. He starts to levitate and hover a little bit, but eventually he loses focus and he starts to fall down to the ground. Now he does fall down, and since he was in his Kryptonian suit at this point, he fell down with a little minimal damage to his actual, normal clothes with his vest and everything, and also got up with minimal damage to anything except for the grass ground, since he did just make a crater of him just falling down to the ground. Now he would have walked back to the base saying, "I don't know, I can't fly yet, but I'm gonna get it." Now basically, we get switched back to the castle, and that's not really important, but you'll see later. Now we get switched back to the castle where the moon elf arrives to see Callum. Basically, Callum saying, I want to learn more. Basically, him saying, I need to learn magic. If I can't fly yet, at least I gotta know how to, well, defend myself. I can do all this stuff, but I still can't activate other abilities that I should have. Like, well, everything. Flight, super speed, everything. I can't do it all yet, but I need to learn, and maybe magic can activate those for me. Callum is told that everything in your body is natural. It's supposed to come to you later on in life, and it'll eventually come to you if you need it in dire times. And basically, Callum says, okay. But basically, he talks more and more to the moon elf before her conversation ends. Basically, they go back to sleep that night, where they see, well, pretty much, they see Claudia's brother show up there, pretty much about to take on, or pretty much about to just straight up murk, Rayla, as Rayla's, sleeping on job duty. Basically, him about to slice her. And pretty much before he slices her, we see something very different. Now, basically, guys, you know what? I won't end it off here because I'm going to do 4 episodes in one part. So let's get into it, guys. Episode 2, Season 2, Half Moon Lies. Now I guess switch to basically last time we left off, where Claudia's brother was about to, take down Rayla. When Rayla wakes up, she starts to fight them, and they start to go back, forth, left and right. Now as they're fighting, basically Callum hears this all with his super hearing and steps in with his super speed, basically stopping stopping the whole entire fight from happening. Now we see that Claudia uses some magic to get the blades out of, Rayla's hands well, Claudia's brother about to take down the elf. When he gets stopped, when Callum steps in the way, pretty much stopping the blade and grabbing it. Now, pretty much Claudia is confused on what's going on, and also his brother is as well. Basically, Callum saying, I'm alive, okay? Just knock it off for a second. Basically, him saying, well, I'm changed. Basically, Claudia's brother being kind of confused on how did you stop my blade with your finger? And how is your hand not cut off? Now, Callum says, well, and we can switch to a whole entire kind of a fast, like 6 minutes later type of, Squidward type thing. Basically, him explaining that, he's, well, a Kryptonian, or he's superhuman or something like that. Now, basically, but before that happened, we do get seen that they start arguing about, how are you alive and all this sorts of other stuff, and why did you betray me, and pretty much Claudia and everything. Basically, as they're walking back, Callum gonna show them where they're gonna, stay for the night. Basically trying to, stop the situation. Basically, she says that was very brave of you, Callum, stepping in there. Basically, Callum says, well, yeah, I was. Basically, him having more confidence in himself since he now, knows his heritage. He now knows who he really is and what he can do. Basically, him saying, yeah, I was. Basically, Cody is kind of, very well, more or less interested about what can you do. Now, Callum pretty much says, well, I can do a lot of things. Basically, as they're walking, he makes, a demonstration of his abilities, cutting trees in half with his bare hands, shooting laser works in the sky, using his ice breath to freeze a tree, doing a lot of things, and even super jumping up into the air. Pretty much, he says, can't fly yet, but I'm supposed to be able to do. Basically, he starts to say, well, that's all my abilities, or most of them. You guys impressed? Basically, they're saying yes, Callum. I'm really impressed. Basically, they're kind of gaining more feelings towards Callum. Now, pretty much Callum says, "So how's my father?" Basically, they're saying, "Let's talk about him later." Now, basically, Callum says, "Okay." Now, basically, they get walked back to their quarters, where we see them walk back to their quarters, where we see them, or in the morning, pretty much they try to talk about, the whole entire elf, the health, what was it, the elf, and also pretty much everything that's happening. Now, basically, well, Israel and Callum try to argue what was going on, but pretty much Israel says, why are you smoothing out your hair? You look like a dork. Basically, Callum saying, fine. Basically, he starts to style his hair like normal, like right here. Basically, saying, well, let's go to my normal haircut. My just waking up cut. Basically, or my waking up hairstyle. Now, basically, Claudia and her brother pretty much get ready to get out of their, pretty much quarters and basically have more or less a dinner and pretty much, have a pretty good dinner alongside everybody. We see that pretty much Claudia sees the dragon, hatchling basically saying it's so cute. Her jumping towards it, trying to hug it, but getting stopped when Rayla stops her saying, you can't hug her, okay? Basically saying she is a powerful weapon, right? That's what your father thinks. Basically, her saying, well, it was before, but it's so cute. Basically, her getting smacked in the hand before she touched the dragon hatchling, saying, "Don't touch him." Basically, Cal tries to stop the situation from handling anymore. Basically, well, basically Claudia's brother planning something to try to take out Callum. Basically, him not really knowing, or none of them knowing, Claudia or Claudia's brother knowing that Callum is invulnerable and he can't really be killed by any necessary normal means like being crushed or stabbed or whatever. And basically, we see pretty much Claudia and pretty much Claudia and them talk the same type of way, saying that how are we gonna tell him that his dad's dead? We're her friends. This is wrong. Basically him saying, we are sent here by a mission, by our father. Basically, him saying we need to go through it. Basically, they start arguing more and more how this is going to go down. But eventually, Callum goes to talk to, well, Claudia. Basically, surprisingly, what was it? I forgot to mention this. That Callum is taller now for some sort of reason, Kryptonian reasons or whatever. He's about the same height as Claudia, like exactly the same. Not taller, just the same height. Now, pretty much he tries to ask Claudia out on like more or less a date or whatever. And pretty much, well, Claudia sees this and pretty much shows that she kind of actually likes, well, Callum. Now, basically, they look at each other and basically try to, go out the talk. Now, basically, Claudia's brother sees that, how can I do this? I can't hurt kids. Basically, him walking away from the dragon, but him hearing the voice of his father and him saying, well, I can't hurt them, but I can get the dragon away from them. Basically, him hatching a plan. Now, basically, he tries to hatch a plan to get the, thing for himself. But we see that Claudia is brought to see, well, the illusionist elf witch. Basically, pretty much her saying that the elf witch is kind of weird, kind of spooky. Basically, Callum saying, yeah, okay. Basically, Callum would be in his Kryptonian suit since he does feel like his Kryptonian suit's a lot more comfortable than his actual, vest. So yeah, he'll be looking like this. Basically, him, just imagine this in the CGI art style of, Dragon Prince. If anybody can do CGI art style and you're viewing this, please send me a link and show me if you can do this. Now, basically, we get shown pretty much, well, them getting shown, or in the pretty much, well, Nexus, not really in the Nexus, but pretty much looking along the magic here. Basically, him saying that dark magic is bad. We start talking about magic. Basically, Callum saying magic is good, but it is one of my weaknesses. Basically, her saying weaknesses. Callum tries to stop talking, saying nothing. Basically, him saying I haven't learned that much magic since I left. And basically, she says, well, let me teach you. And basically, her saying that dark magic isn't that bad. Now, pretty much, Claudia's brother tries to hatch a plan to try to get a dragon away from pretty much, the kids in Israel. Now, they start talking, they start having a grand time, and pretty much Claudia and Callum have a grand time. Pretty much, Callum actually, Callum actually having a grand time and actually showing Claudia a good time. Basically, what was it? Pretty much giving a, what was it? Oh, sorry, dude. Pretty much showing Claudia a good time. Basically, flying her around, using his laser vision to, make her feel good. No, what the heck am I saying? What was it? Using his laser vision to make a show in the sky, or like make some sort of, what was it? Write her name in the sky with his laser vision, or in a nearby mountain. Basically, him saying that my abilities are amazing. I can do literally anything. Now, basically, we get switched back to where Callum is in his room doing some magic, reading up, and also looking at a hologram thing he got off his Kryptonian symbol thing. Him still being in his hero costume, still feeling that it's very comfortable. Basically, him saying that, what is your, thing with Claudia and her brother? Now he starts talking to, Rayla, and they have some of the same confusion, but Callum feels kind of distraught since he does like, Claudia, but he does, he did get feelings for, Rayla, but he doesn't know how to admit that to himself. Now we see that Claudia is getting ready to actually go on a kind of a date or something, or have fun with Callum. Basically, Callum, to free his mind, he pretty much goes into the forest and tries to learn how to fly. He starts levitating, but he can only do that. He just levitates a little bit, but not actually being able to fly. We get switched then pretty much Rayla going to the moon illusionist, or the moon elf illusionist, asking her for some, questions. She pretty much asks, how can I have my friend, well, tell me the truth. Basically, her saying that I've been keeping secrets from him, and I've been not really being truthful to him. her giving the same advice that she did originally, and basically really taking that advice by heart. Now, basically, we'll get switched off from there when we get switched back to the castle, where we see Claudia's father do some dark magic, basically turning himself and becoming more darker and darker. Now, basically, they get to the moon area where basically Callum is wearing this whole entire fit, the same hairstyle and everything, pretty much levitating behind her, giving the illusion of flight. Pretty much him talking to Claudia, and them, holding hands. Pretty much Callum having the confidence to actually hold her hand. Basically, them holding hands. Basically, him trying to, pretty much, what was it? Them trying to, have a good time. He's got to have fun, talk about the Nexus, and also the other stuff. Basically, before Callum goes in for the kiss, basically Claudia has to pretty much decided to tell you something. Basically, she tells Callum that his father's dead. Now, Callum, pretty much we see Rayla walk to the area where Callum and Claudia were at, and pretty much she asks, "What happened, Claudia? What happened?" Basically, saying that I knew we need to talk. Basically, him saying, "I know what happened. He's gone, isn't he?" Basically, him starting to cry, and pretty much Rayla says, "Oh no." Pretty much, Callum saying he's really gone. Now, basically, Callum starts to see pretty much rage in his eyes. Lasers build up. Basically, Callum says, "I need to free my mind." Basically, he starts to super jump away. Basically, seeing Callum on top of top of a peak of a nearby mountain. Basically, him thinking of what he could do. He goes out in rage, shooting a huge beam of light in the sky, being filled with rage and anger. Basically, him trying to figure out who could have done this. And he knows for a certain fact that really didn't kill his father. So who did? Basically Callum out for vengeance. Now I'll leave it off here, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And guys, should Callum go out for vengeance? Should Callum pull a whole entire Omni-Man or a Homelander move in part 5? Don't know, guys. You guys decide. So, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day.